Hi everyone, I'm Becky Carr and welcome back to the first webinar of the year. Today's webinar will be looking at the new Sales Competency Recruitment Report. Look, it's not been available long, but it's already making a big impact with our clients. The purpose of today is actually to give you an overview of how you can use this valuable report, without giving too much detail and getting bogged down, because this webinar is only supposed to be around about 30 minutes. So let's have a look. Recruitment, yep, let's face it, recruitment in itself can be challenging, it can be expensive. So selecting the right new hire that fits with the role can seem a little bit daunting at times. And, we all hear of those new hires that go wrong, eek. The new person you're wanting to hire really needs to have the right skills, attitudes, and behaviours to fit with what you need in the position. But guessing to get it right is fairly dangerous. Often a lot of the candidates' perceived competency is based on their previous experience of how well they sell that to you. So it's fair to say that there is still quite a bit of guesswork involved with recruiting for that right fit. This is where the new Think Sales Competence Assessments can eliminate a lot of that guesswork, as it looks at actual alignment of the sales functions instead. And it's really thorough, I have to be honest. So, a couple of reminders first before we get into the how of the actual report. Firstly, the new competency reports are not disc-based. That means it's not just behavioural. It concentrates basically on 99 forced questions, completely different to the 24 questions asked in the disc questionnaire. These 99 questions are totally sales-aligned questions. So it's very important to note that this sales competence tool is really designed for individuals who've had at least some sales experience, let's say at least 6 months or more. The reason being is that the individuals who do not have any background in sales can't really accurately interpret the statements that are shown in the questionnaire. So for this reason, this is a sales sector only report with some sales experience. And I need to remind you too that if you are using it to recruit for a specific sales position, you do need to do some prep beforehand to get the best out of this particular report. It requires a bit of evaluation of the sales position itself, so you know what you're going to look for in the candidate. So look, I'll be showing you how to do a little bit more of that and show you what I mean soon, but prior prep is pretty important. We all know that the requirements of selling can be pretty different based on industry, product, service. So understanding a bit more of the position is certainly pretty helpful. So I'll be showing you a bit more. Let's have a look at what we're going to look at today. So this is some of the aspects that I'm going to cover. I feel that there's probably 3 important aspects to the Sales Competency Recruitment Report. Firstly, we're going to have a look at the competencies. Secondly, I'm going to show you the sales model, which incorporates these things. So things like sales cycles, the relationship length, and how specific needs can be identified. Thirdly, we look at the combination of those particular sales models and how they actually give us what we then call job roles. And you can see on my screen there that there's actually 8 combinations and therefore 8 job roles. And this is where you can significantly work out what it is you are accurately looking for. I've just had a client myself where they are recruiting for a sales role and they have determined down to 2, maybe 3 particular job roles that they are actually going to try and find in a candidate, and we'll show you how to do that. I've been talking a lot about this word competency, so best I clarify what it means. You can see on the screen, it's a dictionary definition, the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. It's also good to understand competencies don't actually only have to be natural to the person. They can be learnt and developed as well. So sales training development is a classic example of this. Of course, we all do have some that tend to be natural, as we may have been exposed to it over and over in our current environment, making it a bit easier to use. There are 18 competencies. Anyone can develop any of them as needed to enable yourself or that person to do a specific job or task as the situation needs it to. Basically, competency reports are pretty popular because they really dig down on things like attitudes, behaviours, and abilities and spell it out clearly for the evaluator. The Think Sales Competency Assessment, the recruitment report, is designed to identify candidates' present level of proficiency in 18 critically important sales competencies. These have been chosen specifically for sales success. You can see the 18 competencies up on the slide. It incorporates like a wide variety of competencies, from prospecting to needing approval to critical thinking and even things like money concept. On the slide I've used is what I actually call the summary page from the report. So you can start to see what you get in the report and how percentages match, etc. And it's basically displayed like this, so you can see what the candidate's match is in these areas. When using the recruitment report, the important thing to do is that prep. You do need to put some time in to evaluate which 18 of the competencies are important to your specific job requirements. The information breakdown about each of the competencies is also in the report. So it does pay to go through them one at a time, read each side and highlight which are important for that particular position. So for example, you can see on my slide that I have the competency of prospecting up. You can see what it means to be in a high prospector or low prospector. Let's just have a little read here. So if you were someone that was going to be a low percentage in prospecting, then it would be reluctance to call on prospects, having the mindset of a farmer, and waiting for opportunities to show up. They focus on cultivating existing customers for more business. Now, if you were high at prospecting, potentially this would be you, actively pursuing new business, having the mindset of a hunter, and taking responsibility for finding sales opportunities. Neither is right nor wrong. It really depends on, again, what the fit of the sales position is that you are trying to recruit for. So once this has happened, you can then look at how the respondents' results match. So let's say you needed the candidate, I guess, to have the ability to prospect. Let's say it's not critical for this particular position. Let's say this position is made up of 80% warm leads, 20% new business. This person on the screen here would be ideal for what I'm requiring, as they can prospect at a level of 67%, not necessarily way up at 99%, but that's not the percentage of their job. If I was looking for someone who was new business continuously, then yes, I would need them to be high and or even higher. So if we look at it another way, let's say the sales candidate may have a low score with a particular competency. Let's say like one of the other ones, like emotional distance. Maybe in this case, as you can see here, this person has 10% emotional distance. So maybe in this case, that competence is actually not important to the success of the person in this sales position. Therefore, it's not relevant that they are low, and may actually be beneficial that the respondent or candidate does not focus on it. So yes, this area takes a bit of pre-thought, but it's worth it to find out a tight match for what you really do need. Now, just to keep it easy today, there is also another aspect, pretty complex, called mindsets, that help make up the actual competency ratings themselves. I'm not really going to go into those today, as I wanted to spend a bit more time showing you the next part, which is job roles. In the one-day competency training, we do actually go into depth with things like mindsets, so you can learn about how they influence competencies. So you could always learn that in that particular training. So the sales models. How do we use these in recruitment? Well, in using this sales competency recruitment report, starting with good prep, as I said, is really a good way to use the tool, especially when it comes to using job roles and how the report measures that skill. So here are the 3 disciplines of a sales role that you should really think about: needs, the cycles, and the relationships. How these three disciplines fit together make what we call the job roles, and there's 8 of those. Firstly, let me just explain needs. If you're buying a pair of boots, it's more likely that you are fairly specific in what you might be looking for, or at least have some idea. For example, ankle length, maybe colour, size, look, brand. So we call this expressed need. Some people's competencies are better with expressed needs, like working in retail. But what if your product was customer service software? A customer might know very little about the actual software program, but have a loose understanding they need something. This is what we call latent need. They don't really know yet what it is that they want. Recently, this latent need was required for a greenhouse crop grower. Help was needed, but exactly what was a bit hazy. Finding the right person to sell this becomes important. You know, travel companies say that they deal with both types. Customers that have explicit holiday needs when they know exactly what they want, or customers that can be a little bit more confused, should I say, about the type of holiday they want, which is more of a latent need. The point for us is that if you are recruiting, some salespeople are better at one or the other, and some can handle both. Now, what about the importance of the relationship competency? Well, some salespeople are excellent at building trust through relationship. Others are more aloof and distant. Both might be important, but not essential for all products. At a Vodafone or Spark store, efficiency is probably more important than a strong relationship. You might say the same thing about a car dealer or even a software product. Think about Microsoft Office Suite. A strong relationship might be less important. What about a land agent? What's more important, a strong relationship or a good process and support? I'll let you think about that one yourself. So in addition, let's have a look at thinking about a trade show salesman or the demonstrator. They need to be polite and helpful, but it's actually unlikely that a long-term relationship for them is going to be critical. I'm assuming that they might be in the front end, and if there's any kind of interest, they would probably hand that person off to an assistant. So here's the point. Knowing the mix you need between needs, relationships, sales skills, we can now recruit much more accurately for that role. But there's more. There's a third discipline, and it's the sales cycle. A software salesperson may need many visits, clever presentation skills, be able to sell at many levels with different people, and constantly speed read the buyer with great competency. The relationship can be a very long one and need skills at many levels. So you can start to see that measuring potential candidates as to their skills in building short-term or long-term relationship can be quite a defining factor in who might be a good match or a tight fit for that particular sales role. So as I said, a little prep work goes a long way in clarifying what you need. Is the role more suited to a person that has a competency in specific needs or latent needs? Can that person also have an ability to be suitable for product features, or maybe they have a relationship skills? Or in a role that might need long, complicated sales cycle, their results show that they are better at a short cycle. Does this suddenly impact the measurement of best fit for that sales role? Does that make you start to think, is this person suitable, or do they need more development? The report goes into breaking down each job role, so you can read through and double check that what you are actually looking for is what you actually require. So think about these examples. A role where an individual salesperson is selling a 10-year car fleet program versus a very competent car yard person. Do they use different job roles? Do they use different competencies? A role where a medical rep is selling theatre needs like gloves, antiseptics, technical bandages, versus a role to sell an X-ray equipment, which might be 1 in 5 year sale, for example. Here's another one. A role where a company has strong customer service support versus a new product introduction. The Sales Assessment Competency Report narrows down the recruitment process competencies to the point of very clever comparisons for you. I talked about different combinations of those sales models. So here's the matrix around product needs, sales cycles, and relationship combinations. The report gives us all these, of course, and helps us define them. Let's pick another two. I recently worked with someone who purchased a top-of-the-line range BMW. It was a latent need, a very short sales cycle, probably only one, actually it was only one visit, but a short relationship. This combination of sales model is called a sales revealer. Equally, I worked with a group who sold a year's training to a company. The needs were very specific, expressed need. The sales cycle was long, many visits, very slow development. The relationship was absolutely critical. Trust had to be carefully developed amongst fierce competition. This was a big contract. Therefore, the skills associated with this potential salesperson is called a sales partner. By the way, the report shows you all the types and their definitions, so you're not expected to remember any of these. There's also a guide that is able to be read along with this, and this also helps lead you to what you need to do. So these are the two examples, but you can see how cleverly the product helps pinpoint an ideal candidate or development if it's required. Actually, I should have said 3 examples. Okay, so once the job role is specified, recruitment becomes far more effective. You can see on this slide shown, it helps to define top roles that the person would find natural, as well as the potential roles that might need only some development, and finally, marginal roles that the person might develop but struggle to take, but obviously just struggle to take a bit longer in. Let's say you worked out that you need a sales forerunner, or a sales creator, or a sales innovator, or maybe you decided you just need what's called a sales dealer as your candidate's top competencies. You can see that the example on your screen to the left, in fact, I'm going to bring up both because it makes it easier. You can see that the example on the screen, the left side candidate has top roles that match 3 of the requirements that I just suggested, while job role number 4 that you wanted, the sales dealer, sits as a potential for them to be developed. The candidate on the right-hand side has sales dealer as their top, and many of the others that need developing to be competent in that role. So a lot of those ones that I had worked out I need are actually in the person on the right-hand side's can be developed area. These can be developed, but it comes down to then thinking about in-house time, structure issues, who's going to do it, etc., if that person is the one that you pick. This left side candidate would be competent for this particular sales position, though, and gives you a clever comparison between the other candidates you might be comparing. So just as important, it shows that if you needed a sales partner for your product, then the candidate on the right may not be suitable without some direct support and development in that area. It's a great and easy page to use that spells out really clearly everything for you. And that's why these reports are so wonderful, because they can be as simple as you need just by turning to a few pages like this job role summary page and match them to what I've already prepped for that particular position. And you can see the match there. Or you can go right into the competencies, mindsets, etc., which is even deeper. So in summary, some people show more competence than others in certain areas. The new competency recruitment report defines the information you need to understand what a match might look like in a candidate. And when I say match, a tight fit, it may not be absolutely perfect, or you could keep recruiting until you found that, but you at least then know what you're looking at. Every product or service has disciplines associated with needs, relationships, cycles. This report evaluates how any salesperson might measure against those products or service sales or their profile. The tighter the fit, the tighter any recruiting can be for a specific sales position. This is a really powerful tool that generates usable and valuable information for anyone that's involved with developing or hiring. Have a look and ask for a sample. You'll really love it once you start using it. Firstly, because it actually gets easier, but it's very efficient and effective in regarding honing down into recruitment needs. So thanks everyone for joining me for the webinar today. I have really enjoyed starting to look at these sales competency reports. We'll be doing more on this throughout the year as well, but get in touch with HR Profiling if you would like to look at a sample report and just get into using them. They're a lot easier than you think. Thanks everyone. I appreciate you being here. See you next time. Bye.